You're listening to Full Circle Weekly News. These articles are compiled by Eric the Unready, and I'm your host, Moss Bliss. This is episode 351, covering week 4, January 22nd to 29th, 2024. Diet Pi 9.0 has been published, intended for use on single-board PCs based on ARM and RISC-V architectures. The distribution is built on Debian and is available in builds for more than 50 boards. Diet Pi can also be used to create compact environments for virtual machines and regular PCs based on the x86-64 architecture. The project is optimized for minimal resource consumption. Utilities include an interface for installing Diet Pi software applications, a Diet Pi config configurator, a Diet Pi backup system, a temporary logging mechanism, Diet Pi Ramlog, an interface for setting execution priorities, Diet Pi services, processes, and Diet Pi update delivery system. The utilities provide menus and dialogues based on Whiptail. MX Linux 23.2 has been published. The release is based on Debian with improvements from the Anti-X project and features its own repository. The sysv init initialization system is used. It is available for download in x86-64 and i386 builds with the XFCE desktop, as well as 64-bit builds with the KDE desktop and also the Fluxbox window manager. AV Linux 23.1 distribution was released, containing a selection of applications for creating and processing multimedia content. The distribution is based on MX Linux and the KX Studio repository with a collection of applications for audio processing and additional proprietary packages. The distribution is available for the x86-64 architecture and can operate in live mode. AV Linux comes with a set of Liquorix kernel patches to improve system responsiveness during audio processing work. Enlightenment is supplied as a custom environment. The package includes sound editors Ardor, Ardor VST, Harrison, Mixbus, the 3D design system Blender, video editors Cinelera, OpenShot, Lives, and tools for converting multimedia file formats. The RubyWM project has been published, developing a window manager based on the X11 protocol written in the Ruby language. RubyWM supports virtual desktops and can use both tiling and random positioning of windows on the desktops. The code is distributed under the MIT license. The project develops the pure X11 library with an implementation of the X11 protocol in Ruby. The window manager is marked as experimental. Features that have not yet been implemented include window decoration, multi-monitor configurations, moving and resizing with the mouse while grabbing the edge of the window. To control the window manager, X11 client message events are used, which can be generated by the XDO-Tool utility. SXHKD is used to handle keyboard shortcuts. Crypt Setup 2.7, designed to configure encryption of disk partitions in Linux using the dmcrypt module, has been published. It supports dmcrypt, LUX, LUX2, BitLK, Loop AES, and TrueCrypt/VeraCrypt partitions. It also includes Verity Setup and Integrity Setup utilities for configuring data integrity controls based on the dmVerity and dmIntegrity modules. Using Opal and LUX2 requires building the Linux kernel with the config black sed Opal option and enabling it in Crypt Setup. Setting up LUX2 Opal is carried out in a similar way to software encryption. Metadata is stored in the LUX2 header. The key is split into a partition key for software encryption and an unlock key for Opal. The Radix Cross Linux distribution Kit 1.9.367 is available, prepared for devices based on ARM, ARMv64, RISC-V, and x86-64 architectures. The distribution is built using Radix.Pro. The build system code is distributed under the MIT license. Boot images contain a local package repository, and therefore installation does not require an internet connection. The new version includes packages with MPlayer, VLC, Mini DLNA, Transmission, RDesktop, FreeRDP, and GIMP, which allow you to use the user environment as a casual place in your home network. Boot images have been prepared for Raspberry Pi 3, Orange Pi 5, Lee's P710 devices, TF307V4 board based on Baikal M1000, Vision 5.2, eBox 3350DX2, as well as for i686 and x86-64 systems. The multi-user code editor Zed announced that it was now open source. The source code of the server part is open under the AGPL-v3 license, and the editor itself is open under the GPL-v3 license. To create the user interface, the GPUI library is used, open under the Apache 2.0 license. The project code is developed in the Rust language. Only macOS is currently supported. Support for Linux, Windows, and web is in development. When developing Zed, the experience of creating Atom was taken into account, and an attempt was made to implement some new ideas about what an ideal editor for a programmer should look like. Parrot 6.0 is available based on Debian and including a selection of tools for checking the security of systems, conducting forensic analysis, and reverse engineering. Several ISO images with the Mate environment are offered for download, intended for everyday use or security testing. Installation is supported on Raspberry Pi boards and for creating specialized installations for use in cloud environments. Parrot is positioned as a portable laboratory environment for security experts and forensic scientists, which focuses on tools for examining cloud systems and IoT devices. The distribution also includes cryptographic tools and programs for providing secure access to a network, including Tor, I2P, AnonSurf, GPG, TCCF, ZuluCrypt, VeraCrypt, TrueCrypt, and LUX. Ganopix Linux 24.1.15 is out, aimed at working in a live mode for security researchers who want to maintain confidentiality and not leave traces on the system after their investigations. The distribution is based on Debian and the Kali Linux project. The project has been developing since 2003. Bootable builds are prepared for x86, 64, and i386 architectures. Redcore Linux 24.01 has been published, which tries to combine the functionality of Gentoo with more convenience for ordinary users. The distribution provides a simple installer that allows you to quickly deploy a working system without reassembling components from source code. Users are provided with a repository with ready-made binary packages maintained using a continuous update cycle. To manage packages, it uses the Sisyphus package manager. An ISO image with the KDE desktop is offered for installation. Nate Graham has published another report on preparations for the KDE 6 release scheduled for February 28th. In addition to bug fixes, KDE 6 has been polishing its user interface over the past week. For example, the volume control sliders on the panel and in the configurator implement incremental scrolling using user-configurable volume increments instead of constantly changing by 1% each step. The ability to move applications and windows from the Task Manager area to another part of the panel with the mouse to block accidental creation of launcher widgets has been disabled. When using a Wayland-based session, the configurator now supports enabling mirroring of two screens using a visible switch without dragging one screen over the other. They reduce startup time for the Discover application manager, improved compatibility between GPU and KWin renders for screencasting, screen sharing, and window thumbnail generation. The Buddies of Budgie organization has published a report on the development of the Budgie desktop shell. The main focus in 2024 will be implementing support for the Wayland protocol and developing the Budgie 11 branch, which will only support Wayland. Development continues on the Magpie Composite Manager, a temporary fork of the Mutter Composite Manager from GNOME 43, created to prepare for the transition to the Wayland protocol. In its current form, Budgie still uses X11, but after Magpie is updated to version 1.0 and the creation of its own composite manager based on WL roots, it will completely stop supporting X11. The rest of the current roadmap can be found at the link in the show notes. The developers of the Slackle distribution, built on Slackware and Salix, presented a build with a custom Mate shell, complementing the previously published environment based on the OpenBox window manager. The distribution is based on Slackware Current branch and is fully compatible with the Slackware and Salix repositories. The new release includes the latest set of Salix tools utilities from the Salix project and ships with a Linux 6.6 kernel. Support for packages in Flatpak format has been implemented. The first release of the Neri composite server has been published. The project is inspired by the GNOME extension PaperWM and implements a tiling layout method in which windows are grouped into an endlessly scrolling ribbon on the screen. Opening a new window causes the ribbon to expand, while previously added windows never change their size. The project code is written in Rust and is distributed on the GPL v3 license. Packages are compiled for Fedora, NixOS, Arch Linux, and FreeBSD. The main difference between Neri and PaperWM is that each monitor has its own ribbon of windows that do not intersect with each other. Neri supports high DPI and can run on systems with multiple GPUs. Virtual desktops in Neri are created dynamically and laid out vertically. Each monitor can display an independent set of virtual desktops. When the monitor is turned off, the virtual desktop layout is remembered and transferred to the remaining monitor, and when the monitor is returned, it is restored to its original state. You've been listening to Full Circle Weekly News. For more details, see the next issue of the magazine at fullcirclemagazine.org or check the links in the show notes. You can contact me at bardmoss@pm.me. I'll see you next week.